we haven't yet talked about the parabola. Okay, what's a parabola? Parabola has, actually we've defined a parabola previously as the anything that has the shape of the graph y equals x squared if that graph is stretched or shifted in certain ways. And that's certainly a perfectly good definition of a parabola. The geometric definition is that a parabola consists of all the points x, y that lie at equal distance from some point which we call the focus. And in the standard parabola, we're going to let the focus lie at 0, c on the y-axis, and a line that we call the directrix. And that line we're going to put at y equals negative c. Okay, all the points are at equal distance between this focus and this directrix. Now, one point that's at equal distance between 0, c and the line y equals negative c is, of course, the origin. The distance here is the same as the distance here, even though it doesn't look it because the figure isn't very well drawn. Okay, this distance is equal to this distance, so this is a point on the parabola. Now, there are other points on the parabola. For example, a point here. It might well be that this distance is equal to this distance, and if so, then this point would lie on the parabola. And perhaps all these points have that characteristic. From here down to here is the same as from here over to here. From here down is the same as from here over. It's plausible. Again, it's not a very accurately drawn picture, but it's still plausible that those points represent something at least close to a parabola. Now, to say that for typical x, y, this distance is the same as this distance is to say what? Can we translate this statement into algebraic form? Well, the distance between 0c and xy, or between xy and 0c, is 0 minus x squared plus c minus y squared. That's our distance that we'll call d1. That's this distance. What's the distance d2? Well, d2 is going to be measured perpendicular to the directrix, which is horizontal. So d2 is just going to be your vertical distance between x, y, and y equals negative c. The vertical distance is just the difference of the y coordinates. So that distance is the absolute value of negative c minus y. The y coordinate here is negative c minus the y coordinate here, negative c minus y, and we put absolute value signs around it to indicate that it's a distance. To set these two equal, and then to simplify the expression, we'll get the equation of a parabola, which is going to turn out to be y equals x squared over 4c. We'll get the equation at least of the standard parabola. So let's look at the algebra. It's fairly simple. d1 equals d2. Here are our two expressions for the distance. If we square these two expressions, we get x, well, it's obvious what we get. We get the square of what's under the square root. Absolute value negative c minus y is the same as the absolute value c plus y. Squaring c plus y, we get c squared plus 2cy plus y squared. Expand the square over here, and then we see we have an x squared in, y squared in common between the two sides, and we have a c squared in common, so that those will subtract off, leaving us with something that we can easily simplify to the form y equals x squared over 4c. Again, don't try to follow my steps. Just start with this equation and solve for y. That's easy. You can do that. Don't try to figure out what I did. Just solve this equation for y. Start by subtracting off your x squared and c squared terms so they go away. Your y squared and c squared terms so that they'll go away. And you'll easily get this solution. So we see that the equation of your standard parabola is y equals x squared over 4c. This means, for example, that the y equals x squared parabola is a parabola for which 4c equals 1, so that you get y equals x squared. If 4c equals 1, c is 1/4. And what's that tell us? It tells us that for the y equals x squared parabola, c is 1/4, the focus is at 0, 1/4. The directrix is at 0, negative 1/4. In the y equals x squared parabola, has the property that every point on that parabola is an equal distance from 0, 1/4 in the line y equals -1/4.